I had to give all glory and praise and honor unto the Most High. We're gonna get into it, man. Now, I don't know if you guys can remember. I think it was back in 2013. There was this story about this woman that came to the White House, the front gate of the White House, and she tried to drive her car through there, and the security personnel ended up shooting her, and she died, and her kid was in the back seat. And they said that she was paranoid, schizophrenia, and for my targeted individuals, you know when you hear those words, you know what's that key word for. That person was usually more than likely telling the truth, or they knew something. So, I mean, for those of you that can't remember, I'm just gonna play this little short clip to jog your memory.
Miriam Carey of Stamford, Connecticut, was in the car with her one-year-old daughter when she rammed into barricades near the White House before leading police on a chase. Outside the Capitol, she reportedly ignored orders to get out of her car, and she was shot and killed while trying to speed away. Her young daughter, thankfully, is unharmed. So what could have made this woman seemingly snap? Investigators who searched her Stamford, Connecticut home say they found medication to treat schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and her boyfriend reportedly told police that she appeared to be, quote, delusional. Let's go live now to CNN's Deborah Farrick, who's in New York with the very latest. Deborah, what do you know?
Well, one thing we do want to tell you, Jake, is that the family of Miriam Carey actually traveled down to Washington, D.C., where you are. They identified the body within the last 2 hours. They're there now. They're expected to give a statement later this evening, but they're also expected to speak to CNN. We'll have that interview for you later this evening. One clarification that we want to tell you about, we're now learning that authorities during the search of her Stamford, Connecticut apartment found discharge papers, and it was on those discharge papers that there were prescriptions written for two kinds of medications. One of the medications was to treat symptoms of bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. The other was for an antidepressant. It's not clear whether there was actual medication there in the apartment, but we do know, according to a source, that the boyfriend had called police saying that she was delusional, that she thought President Obama was surveilling her electronically, and whether this is why she decided to go down to Washington, to the White House, all of that under investigation right now. But again, there were certain things that were going on. The boyfriend said that she had been on some medications, but that she had stopped taking those medications. Think about it. She actually packed a bag, strapped her daughter in that car, and then drove hundreds of miles down to the White House, possibly to get an audience with the president, Jake.
Strange. Deb, we heard about an
So you see that, her boyfriend was calling the cops on her, telling her that she's delusional, she's a schizophrenic, and this is what they do, man. They get to the people closest to you and they turn on you, and I mean, come on, I'm saying this because I know, and if they could get the people closest to you to lie on you, you could look at her story and know that this woman was not crazy. She was a dental hygienist, man. She wasn't stupid. She wasn't a foolish lady. People just don't snap just like that. But you're never gonna get the truth in the mainstream news, man. You're never gonna get the truth in the mainstream news. So what the story was pretty much is like around this woman. It was like President Obama was having an affair with her. And she drove her car up to the White House, the front gate, to see him, because the story is pretty much it's saying that, look, she got pregnant with his kid, and that's why she drove up there, but they're not going to give you that story in the news. They're going to say, oh yeah, she thought President Obama was surveilling her and tapping her phone and monitoring her, to make it sound crazy. But like my people that's going through this, you know that this woman's not crazy, Now, before this happened, and the people outside that don't know what's going on, they're gonna look at it like, oh, this woman's a lunatic. But for my ones that's in the truth, that she's not crazy. Let's keep going, man. Now, for those of you that say that's preposterous and Obama wouldn't do this and that, well, let's take a look at John F. Kennedy. Let's read this article real quick. Just a short bit of it, because he was known for having other women while he was in office. So right here, it was these images of John F. Kennedy playing with his two children and John Jr. and Caroline, or stood alongside his famous urban wife Jackie, that shaped the image of the Kennedy man during his political career. However, the records show that J.F. Kennedy had a propensity for prostitutes and risky sexual encounter that bordered on the criminally irresponsible. This is the president we're talking about here. This sexual intrepidness, alongside a myriad of other factors, has helped secure the enduring Kennedy myth and image. Although at best a moderately successful president, Kennedy has attained icon status. Although it was only speculated for many years, it is now certain that J.F. Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe had an affair. J.F. Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe met in February 1962 at a dinner in New York. What followed was a brief affair conducted primarily at Bing Crosby's house in Palm Springs, but it seems Monroe harbored the dreams of becoming the First Lady. Allegedly, she wrote to Jackie explaining her intentions. Hey, that's bold, man. Furthermore, it is alleged that JFK's brother Bobby Kennedy had a much longer affair with Monroe, and possibly arranged for Monroe to be murdered and have her death disguised as a suicide. So you see that? This was the president, man. You know, or people around him. You know, having these sexual encounters with other women while he was in office. So when you hear this story about Obama impregnating this woman, and she drove up to the White House lawn, you know, of course, this is not the story that they put out on the news, the official story that they put on the news, but this was the scuttlebutt. This was the talk around town. And you even heard in the news article, the news clip that I played for you, you know, she said she thought that Obama was following her. Look, there's some truth in that. But anyway, you see that, look, they're saying that, look, it's probably one of the Kennedys that had Marilyn Monroe murdered. You see, because when you mess around with these people, it's like sleeping with the queen ant. Once you sleep with the queen ant, you know, she has no use for you anymore, and she kills you off. You know, that's how these people are that they put up in these offices, man. These are wicked people, man. Trust me. So it wasn't only her that this rumor came out about her on Obama. It was another woman. Let's take a look at her real quick. So this is another woman. I think this was his somebody that was in charge of his his campaign or something like that. So it said Obama caught in hotel with this beauty. So so people will look at this news article, or not even this news article, it's a tabloid pretty much, and they'll say, man, this is not real. This is all gossip. But let me play this clip from Men in Black real quick and show you. Because remember I always say they show you the truth in these movies. Hold up.
These are the hot sheets. Best investigator reporting on the planet. Go ahead, read the New York Times if you want to. They get lucky sometimes. Thanks, Manny.
Cannot believe you're looking for tips in the supermarket tabloids.
Not looking for. Found.
So you see, Will Smith was giving a flack because he was looking at the tabloids for information. Because what do people look for, you know, when they read articles and things like that? They look for credibility. Credibility, that's what they look for. The news, CNN, you know, ABC, you know, NBC, all these stuff are so-called credible sources, you know. But these sources are lying to you. So he picked up the tabloids and he was making fun of them, but it's actual truth in some of these stuff when you read it. And it'll sound absolutely crazy to some people, because when they ask you where you got this stuff from, they're gonna say, well, I read it in this tabloid. They're gonna say like, oh, that's not credible, man. That's bull crap. Because that's what they want you to think, you know? But it's actual truth in these tabloids, man. But people is not gonna take it serious, you know. So this was another one. So this is another picture of her. So, and you know, of course they're gonna get them to recant their statements. You know, say it's never happened. Because when you got that heavy hand of the government coming down on you, they could just make your life a living hell. You know. But right now, what we're gonna do, and I want you to bear with me, because there was an intelligence report that came out of Russia. I don't know how true it is. It came out and it was talking about, the details of what happened with this woman, not the woman before. Hold on, let me bring a picture back. This woman, Miriam Carey, I think her name is. So it's interesting, man. So we're gonna get into that right now, and I want you to bear with me as I read it, man. So right here, it's saying a new report circulating in the Kremlin today, prepared by the main intelligence director, GRU, that's Russian intelligence, I believe, claims that the unarmed 34-year-old woman named Marion Carey, who was gunned down last Thursday, October 3rd, in Washington, D.C., was, in fact, deliberately targeted by an elite hit squad under orders to assassinate what Russian intelligence officials say was the mother of President Barack Obama's love child. According to this report, Obama first met Marion Carey on 18 May 2011 when he traveled to New London, Connecticut to address the graduating class of the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. The U.S. press at the time blamed Obama's substantial delay for making this address on bad weather. But according to the GRU sources, the American president was instead having a significant problem after having lodged a portion of a pistachio nut, one of his favorite fruit snacks, shell into one of his back molars. Prior to Air Force One arriving in Connecticut, this report continues. Obama's Secret Service detail contacted an approved local dentist to meet the president upon his plane's landing for the purpose of alleviating his then present condition. As Obama's personal White House physician at the time was U.S. Navy Captain Jeffrey Coleman, MD. This report says that the approved dentist selected was Brian Evans of Advanced Periodontics, located in Hamden, Connecticut, whom Captain Coleman was long associated with through their shared U.S. Navy service. Dr. Evans had served on active duty in the United States Navy as a staff periodontist in Norfolk, Virginia. While in the Navy, Dr. Evans also was the periodontics mentor for the Navy's Advanced Education for General Dentistry program and held top-secret security clearances. Dr. Evans was further awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal for meritorious service. Dr. Evans licensed dental assistants while treating the president on Air Force One, 18 May 2001, was Miss Carey. That's the woman that supposedly he had an affair with, whom GRU assets in this report state struck up an almost immediate friendship with Obama. Important to note that this report says it is after Miss Carey was assassinated. Dr. Evans was quoted in the U.S. press as stating she was fired from her job at his office about 1 year ago, but wouldn't say why. Dr. Evans further stated that Ms. Carey had been away from the job for a period after falling down a staircase and suffering a head injury, and it was a few weeks after she returned to work that she was fired. GRU analysts in this report, however, state that Ms. Carey's absence from work was directly related to an affair she had begun with Obama in 2011, and which culminated into a child being born in August 2012, and which it appears the president attempted to have her abort, but which Ms. Carey refused to do because of her Christian beliefs. Critical to note, this report says are that GRU signal intelligence analysts who were monitoring CIA, NSA, FBI encrypted electronic communications traffic in Washington, D.C. on October 3rd observed the exact same encrypted signature used by elite hit squad that attacked the U.S. Navy Yard on 16 September, had assassinated the award-winning American journalist Michael Hastings on 18 June, and June 25th, attacked the Los Angeles police detective investigations Hastings' assassination. From the tracing of this unique encrypted electronic signature as it pertained to Ms. Carey's actions on 3 October, this report continues. It suggests that she was lured to Washington, D.C. under the pretext that Obama wanted to see for the first time his new baby daughter. Obama's concerns about Ms. Carey, the GRU says, was related to her reporting to local Connecticut police authorities late last year fears that she was being followed and secretly recorded by U.S. intelligence agents, and her belief that her life was in danger. I believe she's telling the truth, man. This woman wasn't an idiot. These same local police authorities, however, state that Ms. Carey told them in December that she was a prophet and that Obama would place the city of Stanford under lockdown, and that he had her residence under electronic surveillance. I don't know about that prophet thing, but they run smear campaigns to make you sound crazy, But I believe that electronic surveillance joint. Upon Ms. Carey arriving at the White House on 3 October, this report says she became aware of the trap she had driven into, and in attempting to flee to safety was viciously tracked by multiple U.S. intelligence agencies and ultimately assassinated by a point-blank gunshot to the left side of her head. Oh, Mom. Even though Ms. Carey's sister, Amy Carey Jones, said there was no indications that her sister was unstable and that her sister seemed okay, the last time they spoke more than a week ago, and a second sister, Verily Carey, who is a retired New York City police officer, said there was no need for a gun to be used. The U.S. propaganda media continues to paint this young mother as nothing more than a lunatic. Yup, that's what they try to do, paint her as a lunatic. But I believe there's some truth to the story. The same, however, cannot be said of one of Obama's longest mistress, Vera Baker. That was the other one that I showed you. The other one, Vera Baker, who, aside from raising millions for his Senate and presidential campaigns, fled to the Caribbean islands of Martinique, when her affair with the American president was discovered and remained in hiding to this day. As to why Obama would engage himself in dangerous affairs in the first place, this report bizarrely concludes is the growing evidence that his wife, First Lady Michelle Obama, was born Michael Law Vaughn Robinson in Chicago, Illinois, on 17 January 1964. He was the second born to Fraser Robinson III, a well-known cocaine dealer and a Union thug for crime lord Mayor J. Richard Daley, and Marion Shields, a transition street prostitute who was diagnosed with HIV in 1998. After a successful sex change surgery, this report says Michelle Obama married and has since adopted two daughters, Milia and Sasha. And even though she is said to have had a watch list of women that were to keep away from the president, the president most unfortunately did not include Miriam Carey. So I don't know how true that is, that part about her father being a cocaine dealer. But you see down there, it even has, that she's a transgender and she had sex change surgery. Remember, Joanne Rivers came out and said that she's a transgender. So you see, it's some merit to these, to this story, man. When like I was saying, that she wasn't crazy. We know what they do, what that keyword schizophrenia is. When they put that label on you as a target individual, that's to discredit you, man. Come on, why would somebody with a career that has a good career like her drive up to the front house of the White House and do that? She wasn't crazy, man. She wasn't crazy. That coming out wasn't a good look for these guys, man. And like I said, man, when you dealing with these people, they're more concerned about their image. They don't care, but they don't care about you. They care about their image. And that wasn't a good look for him, more than likely. So, man, it's interesting, man, because I remember that story from 2013, man, and it just jogged my memory. And I wasn't even being targeted back then. now that I'm going through it, I can look at that woman and I can say, look, man, she wasn't a lunatic, man, but they trying to paint her out to be crazy, you know. And I showed you before, look, it's presidents that messed around, you know. And of course, like, you know, they gonna cover it up while they in office because they have an image to maintain, you know. But it seems like this woman was like, look, she was gun-ho about it. Like, hey, I'm coming up there. I don't know, man. I mean, what do you think they get the idea to do that scandal show from with Kerry Washington, and that show was all about her having an affair with the president? Where do you think they got those ideas from? More than likely, they know that these presidents be creeping on the low, man. I mean, look at Donald Trump. You know, they said that he was, I don't know, man. You know, I mean, a lot of these oh, come on, it comes out, man, these mirrors. Damn, I forgot that one guy who came out. He was having an affair on his wife, man. I forgot who it was, man. But he was like a top guy up there, too. But look, man, it happens, man. You know, it happens. You know, these guys are the top, man. It's probably women throwing themselves at them all the time. Look at Bill Clinton. Look at what happened to him. It's women probably throwing themselves at them all the time. You know? So, but, let me know what y'all think, man. You know, it's interesting, man.